First, Ben Johnson was hyped as the savior for the Raiders, only to choose the Chicago Bears instead. Insiders are now saying that he and Tom didn't see eye to eye on a key issue. Now, Pete Carroll's name is in the mix, but fans are asking, is he too old to lead the silver and black back to glory? Let's break it all down. Raider personnel.
Raiders. In your heart, in your living room, in your cold, dead arms. GM.
Bro.
Raiders.
As of Wednesday, January 22nd, we have a GM. We have a vision.
About time. We have a vision of the glimpse future of next week.
Jesus, what a disappointing week this was, man.
Very,
the Lions
very
getting beat. I'm
heart-crushing.
thinking, oh God, yes, we're gonna get Ben Johnson, and of course, crushed, punched in the
Didn't take
gut,
that
getting
long.
rejected. Yeah, I know, right?
They didn't even get a phone call. We got a text. Got dumped by a text.
Don't buy the text.
Like,
We
nah,
certainly
I'm good.
got played. Who did we think we were, man? I mean, come on, bro. This is the Raiders.
Yeah, we should have
Football
known. We're not gonna get the first, second, third, or fourth guy. It's just like our offensive coordinator from last year. We get the second choice.
Yeah, seriously, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I tuned into before this week. I had tuned into Bears news, watching their media, and they were all a couple of them had said, hey, that Ben Johnson is using the Raiders as leverage, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, no, man, because there's no way the media attention that we were getting with Ben Johnson, it just felt like, it was a done deal. Like as soon as, he was out of the playoffs, that he was going to sign with the Raiders, et cetera, et cetera. And then come Monday, I think, what time was it? I think it was around noontime, West Coast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just heart crushing. Yeah. And then all I read was finalizing deal with Bears. I was like,
With the Bears.
What
do you think went wrong?
I mean, look, it's the obvious and easiest choice would be the quarterback position. Obviously, whatever you say about Caleb Williams, most people think he's a generational talent. And that's, you can't go wrong when you have a quarterback like that. And then for us, there's not really a clear path. I mean, we have the money, we have I guess we're giving him the leeway from Tom Brady to able to build something. He was going to have a clean sheet, not too much talent, but enough talent. But that's probably it. It's like the quarterback, like Caleb Williams, rookie contract. You have pretty good, skill position players on offense and defense. So they were always had that against us. And I, even though how excited I was last week, it was always like, I was shocked why us instead of the Bears. That's what it was for me in the beginning. Like, why not the Bears? And then, it started getting louder and louder that it could be us. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe he wants a challenge. We are going to be pretty much the toughest division in the league,
right?
Besides the AFC North. And so I was like, let's do it. He wants a challenge. He wants to build a team. All our coaches are, either older or had some kind of health scare in the past. So I was like, he could have been reigning for a while. But that's what I think. It was the whole quarterback situation. I mean, everything else was there for him. Tom Brady, the cap, the time, the GM. He was going to be able to pick a GM.
Right.
So clean slate. And I know we interviewed the assistant GM for the Lions. So I was like, okay, now maybe it's really happening.
And I think he went to the assistant GM for the Lions, went and interviewed also with, I think it was the Jets or the Jaguars. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they had something to talk about there. Like, oh, if you're not going to go to the Raiders, then I'm not, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I also heard from a news article that Brady was not seeing eye to eye with Ben Johnson on the general manager. So, I mean, there wasn't too much detail there other than, that the insider reporter basically didn't mention it. Kind of said that there was some disagreement there between Ben and Tom, but now that we know we have Spytek part of the GM organization now and a part of the structure, that's a Tom Brady thing. That's a Tom Brady guy, and so now that report looks a little more real, right?
Yeah, I mean that would suck, because in the end the GM is great, but it's all about that coach and the type of coach that he
Yeah,
was supposed to be. So I would hate that was the reason why he chose. Like I could live with he chose Caleb over AOC, but
yeah,
I'd be pretty upset. He was like, hey, I was gonna pick you, but he wouldn't let me pick my GM. And and who knows who the GM was, or even if it was the guy we did interview from the Lions, and then Brady
yeah.
just did it just to do it, but he was like, "Listen, man, I don't think he's right for the job."
Right.
And that's what sucks because Spytek, everything I've read about Spytek has been awesome. Like he's literally touched every single part of the assistant GM positions and scout departments. Like I've heard that he's been a scout. He's hired
Yeah.
scouts. He's
Right.
given like the job duties to the scouts. He's been in
Yeah.
player personnel. He's been the assistant GM I think his last name is Light for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers manager
Yeah.
GM.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
was pretty much his lieutenant. Like he would tell, he would tell Spytek to do something. Spytek would go handle it. Will get the guys to do it, and that's
Right.
the other good thing I heard. Is Spytek will get the guys to do the job, not sit there, manage, micro, and all of that. Like he trusts the guys that he's bringing in to get the job done. Which it's a
Yeah.
big plus
Yeah.
for a head coach because you want the head coach to choose the guy that they want and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's great to work with. He was part of the player personnel that convinced Tom Brady to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he also went to Michigan with them.
Yeah.
So
They're
that's
roommates or
why I
something like
just
that. Yeah.
I hope that doesn't bite us in the end. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That we
Right.
didn't get Ben Johnson because of that.
Yeah.
But everything I've read about this GM, like he had his hands on the scouts, on the draft. So he knows like what to, well, not he knows what to look for, but he has, a feeling of the process and, should be pretty good. So I'm excited
Right.
for him. Especially if it's the whole GM situation with Ben Johnson. Like if Tom Brady was like, listen, man, that GM that you were picking or you're telling us don't have the
Yeah.
experience, don't have what this guy has or other GMs have. And that could have been like a stepping point. And maybe we didn't say no, but probably Ben Johnson was like, oh, well, if they're having issues with it, then
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
just
Well,
go
I
with the
mean, to your
Bears.
point, is also right. You went to the Bears where they have a GM that's been. I
On
mean,
the
think
hot seat.
about any players that they have acquired that is either top 10 receiver, top 10 quarterback, anything like that. What player have they drafted? I mean, sure,
Right?
they're always like in the same limbo, right, where they're 15 spots,
Mm-hmm.
20th spot in the draft, but.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of besides Justin Fields. I can't think of any big names like that they have drafted or made any good acquisitions from
Right,
with
right.
that GM. But
So
I don't
yeah, I
know.
mean, he definitely has been responsible for the last two coaches before Ben Johnson. So it's he's
Right,
had decent
right,
drafts. This last draft with Caleb Williams, that's the easiest draft. He had a couple good guys as well. What really's kept him the job is the trades that he's been making. He traded 2 years ago, first round pick to the Panthers to get, Bryce Young. And a lot of people are like, oh, the Bears should get CJ Stroud. The Bears should get CJ Stroud. They took a risk and they still ended up with the number one pick, which, Caleb Williams was like generational talent above CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. So, it turned out well, but he got like an all pro receiver from that trade with the Panthers. So he definitely got the trades, but also I feel like the
yeah,
Panthers are a bad organization. I don't feel like any other organization would have made that trade, or at least gave up what they gave up for that trade.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
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 but and then the defense was pretty dang good too. But that can also be a coordinator thing because the defense didn't play so good this year. Like literally the entire team was better last year than this year, and the only
yeah.
difference was Caleb Williams for Justin Fields. So,
Right,
and then the
right.
Justin Fields situation, he had three different coaches, three different offensive coordinators. You can't succeed like that. That's the
Yeah,
big issue. So that's why I want also a offensive minded head coach because if the OC leaves, the offensive mind is still there. But if we get a defensive minded coach and our offensive coordinator kills it the first year, he could be
yeah.
up for a position. And so yeah, that's where we're at. But yeah, I hope everything turns out well for us. I like our
Yeah,
GM.
no,
I like the position
yeah,
we're going. It looks like I don't know if we've even interviewed all the coaches that we want to interview. I'm pretty sure Spytek is going to have some in mind that he would like to bring in as well.
yeah.
And then we should go from there.
Yeah, it sounds like for the most part, yeah, they're not done looking for
Yeah.
coaches, right? Everybody's got their eyes set on Pete
Hmm.
Carroll,
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't know why. I mean, yeah, he's got the veteran,
Yeah.
consideration, the
Hmm.
experience that we would like right now, that these
Yeah.
players would need right now.
Yeah.
But this draft, I think, is a critical draft for the Raiders, and they're going to need a quarterback. And do you think that Pete Carroll would be the guy to train this quarterback? Of course he would be, right?
Yeah. I
But
mean,
if
look,
you have
Pete.
other coaches,
Hmm.
what other coach do you think would fit into that kind of role to train a quarterback?
I mean, the first one that could come to my mind, and we kind of touched bases, was Mike McCarthy.
Yeah,
Say what you want about the Cowboys, it's tough working for Jerry Jones, and you really have no say when all the players know they could just go to the boss. And so, and he knows how to deal with players. He's definitely been loved. He dealt with Aaron Rodgers, and obviously what we experienced this year, he's not easy to deal with. And
yeah,
imagine,
yeah,
and that's Aaron Rodgers right now. Imagine Aaron Rodgers in his prime. He's more arrogant. So, Mike McCarthy is starting to look like the choice. Um, Pete Carroll, it's more of of a culture building thing.
right,
What I heard, the rumor was Pete Carroll's that he was going to bring in somebody to groom them to take over for him. And then he'll go on and either be an assistant GM or something like that in the lines. Um, but that's I
mm,
think Mike McCarthy, Liam Cohen obviously when is staying with Tampa Bay. It's not going to happen.
yeah,
Um, Doug Peterson's a good coach. The one that was just fired by the Jaguars.
yeah,
So that's another one. He's not a bad coach. He took him to the playoffs to the Jaguars, and next
right.
not
Who got
anymore.
injured? The
Yeah.
kid,
I'm not sure
the
about Steve
quarterback, right?
Spagnuolo. I feel like some people are just meant to be coordinators instead of coaches.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there's one more who I'm thinking of that I would really like to at least get him in.
Todd Munkin.
Todd Munkin is one. There's another one I was thinking
Yeah,
of. Joe Brady from the Buffalo Bills. He's looking more and more, serious after beating
yeah,
the the Ravens. It's kind of looking like he's been pretty good. So,
right.
maybe Joe Brady. I would like Mike McCarthy. I was already expecting Pete Carroll, so I'm not going to be too bummed out about it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
Everybody's saying Cliff Kingsbury, right? Cliff
Cliff
Kingsbury.
Kingsbury.
I mean, that'd be dope, but I don't see him leaving Washington.
Yeah, I mean, why would you? Say we got Jaden Daniels. I would if unless like I would if I was
If
him,
they
I'd
win
probably
it this
wait
year,
till.
maybe.
Yeah, right. He's
If they
that's
win the
true
Super
because
Bowl, if the Commanders win the Super Bowl, I can see Cliff maybe going for a head
that's true
coaching job.
because he can ask for more money after winning the Super Bowl. Like, hey, I
Yeah,
whatever rookie we bring in because Cliff Kingsbury with Shador Sanders, pretty
yeah.
good.
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
I'm interested in that. Or
Yeah.
maybe we just give Dion a call and be like, hey man, we draft
Oh,
your
geez,
son,
come on.
come coach us.
Nah, dude, I'm okay with that, man. I don't need a shit show. We already got a shit show in Vegas. We don't need another one. I mean, I don't know
Right? Yeah.
how Dion impacted Colorado. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, he
I know he's
definitely
got a
impacted. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely did. I mean, my fear is like the son and the father as the coach. You know what I'm saying? Like these are grown men that he's coming in. These
Yeah,
ain't college kids.
yeah.
Like these are grown men making their money, and they're like, hey, you better treat us all the same.
Right,
And
right.
which he did that, but that's still college. This is you know
Yeah, I can see him going
grown
to
man.
Cowboys. Well, Cowboys fine. They can
Yeah,
have Sanders, bro.
right.
He's the. I don't know. But I feel like that's better suited for him. And then
That would actually be a home run for the Cowboys, but you know who won't do that? Jerry Jones.
yeah,
He can't
exactly.
have somebody that has a bigger star than him in the locker room.
Yep, exactly. No, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
like
Dion will talk back. But Dion like, nah, motherfucker,
yeah.
nah. Save that bullshit for yourself. Go get me Henry.
Yeah, and I'm glad we didn't get Liam The reason why
Yeah.
Liam, because it's his first year as offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you know, I hear these names and I'm like, bro, like, I mean, I get it. This is who we would like, and it's not necessarily who was on the list of coaches that we're gonna go interview or whatever.
Right.
And the ones that we have, Pete Carroll, of course, right? And then you can stay within the organization, Patrick Graham. You can, you know, you can do all those kinds of things, but it doesn't seem like that's the way, especially after Spytek's hiring or Spytek's hiring. I don't think Tom is headed that way. I think he's going to go more of either if he can go for Cliff, I think he'll do something like that. Or, if he's going to go Pete Carroll, like you said, it's more of a culture building. But then who's going to come in and sweep after him like they did with Mayo? It didn't work out for the Patriots.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, I heard that he wanted to bring like Brian Flores as a DC and then groom him, but
I see.
You know, we're just going from one DC to another DC, and we're going to have that same issue of, you know, not an offensive minded coach. And that's why, you know, at first I was negative about Mike McCarthy, but, you know, in the end, like really like actually just thinking about it and breaking it down is like he makes a lot of sense. You know, 12 wins is 12 wins. You know what I'm saying? That's not easy in any division. You know, unless you're the Chiefs. But, you know, fuck the Chiefs. And so, so, you know, that's not a bad idea. He brought Aaron Rodgers up, you know, and he worked with Dak. So this time at least he'll work with Brady. He'll work with a like-minded manager, and he doesn't have to deal with Jerry Jones.
I don't think we've seen him get an opportunity. I mean, with the Green Bay Packers, he had his chance there, and you know, you didn't have Jerry Jones overseeing you and all this micromanaging by the owner.
Exactly.
And he did well. He went to the playoffs almost every year. I mean, maybe one or two, maybe not, but still.
Just this year, really, you know, with all the injuries they had and, you know. And, you know, Jerry Jones was telling them, we're going all in, and he didn't do nothing in free agency. And so,
I see.
Yeah, it was a big fail.
I'm pretty sure Mike McCarthy was like, oh, this is an opportunity to leave this organization. I can running the hell out of here.
Yep. That's why when he was negotiating the window, I'm sure he was asking for a lot. He was like, well, if this is how it's going to be, I want this amount of money. I want this amount of years. I want this, and this. And then Jerry Jones was like, nah, it's too much. He was like, all right, I don't want to deal with this shit show. You know, I'm going to go to Vegas, Vegas lights. You know, all that money, you know, and he knows it's not going to be a shit show with Tom Brady. I mean, we're hoping with Tom Brady there's not going to be a shit show. You know, it's going to be some stability. So that's what we're all hoping for.
Well, there's no crazy hiring right now. I think this is a good sign that things are being patient. They're being, you know, composed. We got a GM. Maybe the plan was all along to get a GM before we get a coach. And even though Ben Johnson was our first choice, you know what I mean, we're still searching for that GM. That's why there was no announcement made. And the Bears was an in-person interview. They probably cut him a check right there on the spot.
Right there, exactly.
So you know what I mean? Anything could have happened. I hope Ben Johnson stinks up the Bears.
You're right.
Makes him look like trash.
Yeah, make him worse. Make him the number one pick again.
Man. So all the Bears fans, I'll give you the middle finger.
Two.
Yeah.
I hope y'all continue to lose to the Vikings and the Lions.
That's right. Continue. Thanks everybody for watching. Leave a comment below. Raider personnel.
Raiders. Get that new GM.